were talking about the Civil War shit, so let's just go all crazy into it. Like
Yeah,
complete conspiracy theory, second Civil War coming. Let's just
yeah.
Trump is taken out of office forcefully by the army. What next?
So here's the idea. Thanos, okay, I think he's going to regret actually killing his daughter. And are you talking about the United States Civil War or the next Civil War
Fuck
movie?
you! Fuck you! I have not watched that movie yet. Fuck you! Don't
You're
you tell
welcome.
me shit. I don't even want to
You're
know
welcome.
now. Nothing more. Nothing
Okay.
more. I'm waiting for that shit to come on Netflix.
So the U.S. Army would never turn on their leader. Uh, yeah.
So yeah, that's a
never gonna
crazy. That is a crazy notion. But let's just
Yeah.
say shit starts happening. People start getting
Yeah,
violent in the streets.
the most likely way it would happen is someone to assassinate Trump, or that would be if he's reelected for a second term.
Okay,
That
let's go straight up.
that's
Antifa takes claim for assassinating Trump. Let's start with
okay.
that scenario.
Well, essentially, every person who's on a campus, like a liberal campus, like Berkeley or something, would start being shot at. This would infuriate people who have children there. They'd pull them out.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be some sort of news, like an attack on the colleges or something like that.
Yeah.
An attack on institutions and such. But the thing is that the Republicans who do this they'll be the fringe ones. They might be very good at what they're doing, or they might be very bad because a lot of Republicans happen to be ex-military.
Mm-hmm.
The worst problem that you would have is if they were actually a professor, because you would never catch them. And just like the Unabomber. The Unabomber was a professor, and it took basically his brother reporting him based off the handwriting for them to figure it out.
Okay. Keep on going. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, anyways, the idea is that basically, when Republicans actually do something, most of them won't. Like most of them are Christians, and they have kind of like designs on being martyrs. They're masochists when it comes to religious ideology, almost as bad as the Buddhists, really. But anyways, but the extremists, basically people who have been disenfranchised or who have been personally attacked either online or they've lost their jobs because some leftist person decided to say that, he raped me, and they didn't actually do that. Or they're even tertiarily associated with that person.
Yeah.
They will be inspired after the assassination of Trump to do something about it.
So do you think that there will be straight up shooting in the streets, or do you think this is just going to be just like a handful of minor terrorist attacks until shit gets a little bit more stable?
The one thing that did, I suppose, separate the Civil War from then to now is there was a unifying cause for the South in general, whether it was, mostly just 3 states pushing it, or whether it was all of them united. It didn't really matter, because once the Mason-Dixon line was drawn, it was pretty much game over for... It was us against them. We have slaves.
100%. This would in no way be that. This would be straight up, it's like you said, it will be people attacking in the streets. Is how it would be.
No. Essentially, there would be some sort of sign. This happened actually before the last Civil War. There was this thing where people would wear an armband or some sort of, what do you call those, handkerchief or something of a particular color. And then that person was indicated to be an abolitionist or a loyalist.
Yeah.
Or I think they call it loyalist, or they might have called it a slaver. I don't know. Either way, they had derogatory terms for it, but that's what would indicate whether or not you would attack that person. So the perfect example would be if this person's wearing a Trump hat, then they're likely going to be cool. Yeah. So that means that the Republican mystery force wouldn't attack them. But that also marks you as a person who's likely to be attacked by the mystery Democrats. So it's one of those things. You have to basically put yourself out there to say, hey, I'm one of you. Otherwise, you're a non-combatant. That's kind of the way it works.
Yeah, no, I get you. Would it get to the point where lines are actually drawn, or cities are, liberal havens and they're breaking away from our Republican government, because you got to realize Pence is still in charge at this point, or whoever the 2020 running mate would be if Trump won. So the government in general is going to be Republican. So yeah, California break off or break into 3 states and divide themselves up that way, or what do you think?
That's a difficult one to say. All I know is that it would definitely start with California. The federal government would retaliate on sanctuary cities to begin with. I think the first people to suffer would be the actual immigrants. I mean, one of the things that Trump wanted was a wall. And the interesting thing about what happens when you assassinate somebody or get rid of somebody unjustly, I mean, it doesn't even have to be assassination.
They become a straight-up martyr for everything that they stood for.
That's correct. So that means that there will be an amazing unifying push, the likes of which have rarely been seen since the end of slavery, with Republicans. Basically, Republicans have been relatively sleeping. Do you know why they were made, by the way?
Why what were made?
Republicans.
To abolish slavery, right?
Mm-hmm. They were actually made in conjunction with freed slaves.
Yeah.
So that they have basically throughout history ebbed and flowed with causes, relatively been pretty small in size up until socialism started coming to the United States. That would be around the time of good old FDR.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they've kind of tried to remain at least comparable to the Democrats. But there were periods of time where they didn't even sort of resist the Democratic incursion, because there was like 4 different kinds of Democrat and Republican, or 4 different kind of politician. There was the loyalist, or not the loyalist, the Democrat conservative, the Democrat progressive, and the Democrat normal.
Yeah.
And then the same thing for the Republicans. And the Democrat conservative was the racist. The Republican conservative was a guy who basically didn't think much of black people, but didn't really want to inhibit them because the Constitution said they were equal. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
But that all changed in the 60s.
Well, you say it changed, but basically what I see is that they want to keep government. Like, they've always wanted to keep government.
Who, Democrats?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Democrats kept with their socialist ideals from FDR on, because FDR really excelled at it, especially with, like, the New Deal and shit like that. And
by the way, there's reports that say that the FDR's tariffs actually extended the Great Depression.
I don't know. I got to disagree with you on all that, but getting off topic with that. We're getting way off topic.
You're not talking to me. You're talking to, like, economists. I'm just saying. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, what I've always thought when the Civil War, if it ever does happen, like, I always think people are crazy when they talk about a Civil War. Like, straight up, the government would put a stop to it immediately. Like, no matter how things turned out. I just think it's too insane of an idea to really play with, because like, the second, like, let's say President Trump is assassinated, and the second that there's a couple of terrorist attacks in town, the government's going to straight up shut down social media. Done. It's just going to take control, shut it down. All businesses that do business overseas are going to be shut down.
Amusing. Do you know what will happen?
Chaos.
Do you know what kind of chaos?
The kind where people are poor as fuck.
Actually, it's happened before. It happens many times in communist countries, in dictatorships, or at least in the perception of a dictatorship. So let's just play this out. Many people in the Democratic Party believe that Trump is a dictator.
Yeah, no, I'm not that guy.
It doesn't matter. You can imagine that many of them do, don't you?
Yes, I can imagine that.
Okay. So what is Pence? What is every right-hand man to a dictator?
I don't know. They're second in command.
Well, why don't we kill them? Why don't we kill the dictator and let the right-hand man take over? Every single democracy where we had, or every single dictatorship where we had the opportunity to do that.
Because it's usually more of the same.
No, it's actually even worse. Usually the person who's in power is actually the dictator light of the two options.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially the insurance a person has against assassination in a dictator country that is basically not as big as the United States. Hey, I might be bad, but the council dude behind me, he's basically just like all out genocidal and stuff. Like,
no. You need to love me. I'm the good guy. I'm the guy that's fighting the power. So that be the ones that are really in control, the deep state. You know, like what Trump says. But
wait, say that again.
You know, Trump's fighting the deep state.
Well, no, what I'm saying is basically, if Trump were assassinated, right, the Democrats wouldn't stop believing that they were under a dictatorship.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What happens when they shut down social media and they start making sure that there's an enforced curfew to avoid riots?
I think in the end, people would probably just give up in this country.
Really? You wouldn't think that all their beliefs would have been confirmed? That they would actually be in a dictatorship? Yeah, but there's no way.
Without social media, there's no real way to communicate this if you're, you know, people of like mind, you know? And without money, there's no way to survive. I mean, if you don't have money to go out and eat, then what the fuck are you going to do? In the end, it would end itself in this country. People aren't self-reliant enough in this country to have a full-on guerrilla-style civil war.
It's all that they're training people in colleges to do. They're just doing it with protests as opposed to guns. Guerrilla-style protests are very similar to the structure that it would be required for guerrilla warfare.
Let's say this starts happening because, you know, all these things have been hit out. Guerrilla-style protests, which I agree with you, that would probably be definitely a real thing. Does that mean that these lone wolf Republicans are going to show up to these guerrilla-style protests and just gun them down?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah, I mean, it could be bloody there for a little bit, but is it going to be like, you know, a group of like 100 of them walking into this protest and just going crazy, and then you have straight up fighting there?
Think about it. What would they be protesting?
They'd be protesting the Democrats, you mean?
Yeah, the Democrats. Yeah.
The Democrats would be protesting more of the same, and how things have gotten worse, you know?
So, to lay out the timeline, Trump is assassinated
Trump is assassinated.
Mike Pence takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Pence has to... Basically, there's chaos in the streets because Republicans are heartbroken that they lost the president that they love.
Yeah, and there's some terrorist attacks at that point.
Democrats are celebrating this, right? They're celebrating it.
Yeah.
Mike Pence enforces restrictions, okay?
Correct.
These restrictions confirm the beliefs that the Democrats are living in a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So they resist that dictatorship. Republicans see Democrats again starting to resist with their last president, like the last one they elected, the vice president who became president. It's all happening again. Yep. These Democrats still think they're in a dictatorship, and now they're resisting even harder the crackdowns that resulted from them killing the last president.
Yes.
So what else are you going to do? You got to put them down. They're mad dogs.
Yeah, that is what would happen next. So the next thing that you would definitely see would be lines starting to draw, you know. California would probably break off.
Probably I don't think it would be allowed to break off. I guarantee you that
it won't be.
Many people in the Defense Department that would be itching at the opportunity to treat California like a South American country that needs to have its dictatorship overthrown. Like,
yeah,
extreme prejudice.
So you would see military walking through California, but they would probably break off before that happened, so there would be lines drawn.
You would see military finding all the representatives of California and their state government. That's where you would start.
That's some banana republic bullshit there.
Well, basically, that's what happened with the insurrectionist states during the Civil War in the South.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You find the leadership. You've cut off the head of the snake.
No, yeah, you're right. Holy shit. All right, so military is now trying to get into California. California has set up a line, you know, a straight-up line. They somehow managed to acquire a militia.
You said military is trying to get in. The military is already there. They have National Guard.
But there will be liberal militia set up, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, a liberal militia.
Yeah, it will totally happen in this scenario.
What kind of guns do they use?
Shut
Low
up.
magazine capacity.
There would
guns?
totally be full-on guns involved
Do you know?
in this.
Do you know you have to have a key to open the new AR-15s they sell there? You have to have a key to open the magazine.
Nice.
Yeah,
but
so
there won't be nukes being thrown anywhere, so there's not going to be an instant end to this war by any means.
Why would you hunt a rabbit with a cannon? You don't need a rabbit. I mean, you don't need a cannon to hunt a rabbit. California has made itself soft. Like, if it were to be an altercation like that, it would be over very quickly. There already is a population in California that is very strongly against the poor leadership that they have. They would, honestly, all the military would have to do is park on the border and hand the guns to the people who are already there, like they've done in every country they've intervened in. Just make sure that, hey, do you guys need more bullets? What do you need? You need some more resources? You need us to hit any targets from a distance? We'll let you guys take care of this. California's take back your country. They basically go like Bane from the third movie.
Yeah.
People of Gotham, take back your country. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah, no, and I would honestly... I would bet California would break off, because there's a very big difference between Northern California and Southern California. So, Northern California, stays with the United States. Southern California breaks up.
If you kill the president, you don't get anything. You just get taken. Like, anyone who celebrated after he died, anyone who talked about him bad up until the death, even if they didn't know it was going to happen, all those people are gone.
Don't forget, there's a large influx of gangs in California. Gangs that all do not agree with the way current things are.
I would love to see that.
Would have guns.
Honestly, it would eliminate two problems at once.
I'm not saying they would win, but there would be a definite break-off.
They wouldn't.
There would be a break-off.
Gang warfare is only useful for basically maybe an extended occupation, but even then they don't have the discipline for that.
What do you think the fucking Middle East is? I mean, it's basically just a bunch of fucking
true believers.
Gangs. True believers, yes, but they're still gangs. They
Not
have
the
no real military training.
What inspires a gang today in the United States?
Money.
What inspires a insurgent group in the Middle East? Religion. So which one was willing to put up with more shit? How many friends are you going to lose before you give up if you're being paid for it? And how many friends are you going to lose? Keep in mind, your friends keep going to Allah, and they get the 40 virgins, and you don't, while you're still alive. Yeah, so which one's going to fight longer and harder?
That is true.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But the level of training here, I guarantee you, it's not going to be any different. So it's going to be the same style of fight that we're dealing with in Afghanistan. Maybe no suicide bombers, but it's going to be harder than what you think.
Maybe. I think that in reality, a lot of these people out there who are gang members are ultimately Americans, and they know which way the wind blows. I really think that if you offered them enough money, they would join your side. Yeah,
tell that to Mexican gangs. But all right.
I would just tell the Mexican gangs to get on the bus.
So California broken off. Okay, let's go from there. Southern California is its own country right now, fighting off the American.
If you say so.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
We got New York next.
An interesting proposition. There's even pockets in New York that resist democratic people, but
they would.
Let's just say, for example, that in the best way possible, they have the most amount of time to prepare. Then they will have to commit purges of the people who are Republicans.
That is true, and that would be hard to do. But also in a state like New York, where gun laws are very strict, a lot of Republicans aren't even going to be that well armed there.
That well armed compared to what? A Democrat?
They'll have the manpower.
You're saying that they'll be outnumbered?
They'll be outnumbered.
Against people who don't have any guns.
There'll still be guns in this. Again, the gang members are the ones that are going to provide the weapons.
Okay, you're saying that the gang members would be on the Democrat side?
Yes.
Okay. If you say so.
Gang members are on Democrat side. So right there, we got two split nations.
I'm assuming you're saying this because they're black.
No. In fact, I think of most gangs as Hispanic nowadays. So.
Okay, so because they're Hispanic,
yeah.
they would be on the Democrat side.
No, okay, no. I'm saying this because most of them are on welfare.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yes. Gotcha.
And a lot of them are for anarchy, because that's ultimately what's going to win here. Is going to be that's ultimately who's going to win are going to be all the people that are for the
anarchy of welfare. Exactly. Anarchy of welfare.
Yeah, I'm not saying it makes sense, but that is how a lot of those guys think, man.
You are some sort of scientist, man.
Yeah, I am. I'm a fucking genius here. I got fucking brain power up the ass.
What kind of cholo connections do you have? Damn, you're in the mind of the killer. Careful, dude. Now, you don't want to go too deep.
The other thing that you're going to see, and because this is going to be the category I'm going to be in, is people piecing the fuck out. And that will happen mostly in the upper Midwest.
Oh, interesting.
Because those are going to be the people that just go on to Canada as refugees. Because Canada's going to start taking in refugees to get on good with the world and all that shit. And it's going to make them look awesome. Probably bring them into a major, like the biggest world power by the end of it. Like Canada, if the United States completely crumbles out of this, Canada will be the one that comes out of the flames. Because they're going to be the ones taking in all these refugees. All these capitalists that America had that got out of there in time. All the Midwest farmers that work extra hard. They're going to have this huge booming economy all of a sudden because they got the land mass for it and everything. So you'll have...
all the diversity you're saying.
I'm just saying...
Canada's going to get more diverse.
Canada's going to get people from the upper Midwest. Again, people who are hardworking, people who farm, things like that, know a lot about how to be self-sufficient and shit like that. They're going to get those guys. And then they're going to get the rich business tycoons.
You think those people who farm the land are going to leave?
I think so. Because it's gonna, especially if shit gets close. Like, you start hearing about attacks in Kansas City, you got 5 kids, and, you know, you're just going to be like, no, fuck that. I'm going to take care of my kids. I'm going to get them the fuck out of this country. Especially if you live like 100 miles from the border.
You mean this farmer's going to say, I got to get my kids out of my country?
Well, I'll tell you right now, if it was me, if this actually happened and I started hearing about fighting starting to get close, like if I start hearing about fighting in Kansas City or something, I live like 300 miles from the border. I'm just going to go right the fuck up there. I'm going to literally pack up my car and everything I can handle and ask for refugee status.
I see. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I will get a job and become a Canadian.
That's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats.
This has nothing to do with my Democrat sense. This has to do with me wanting to keep my family alive.
That's exactly my point.
I care more about my family than anything else.
I think that's exactly my point.
I think there's plenty of young liberals who are just fucked up, just as fucked up as Timothy McVeigh.
And yeah, there's a young conservatives that are just as fucked up as the Oklahoma City bomber. Yeah. But the point of the matter is that you think that you can run.
I will run. That's what I'm going to do. If I have to forge documents, I will. I know how to do that.
No, I understand. No, and let's just say you can. But the problem with that is that when you leave, then you leave behind the country. So you'd be basically becoming a traitor. You would, instead of basically trying to resist what's happening...
I'm going to just keep the refugee status out there.
No, I understand. The difference is that I would never even think of doing that, because basically, like, everything
No, I think it's because you don't have much to lose, you know?
Well, that may be true.
I mean, I'm not saying you're not worth more than me or less than me or anything like that. I'm saying you don't have that, like... First off, when you have kids, it's completely different. Like, everything about you changes. So, I hate to say that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, if I didn't have kids, I'd be like, fucking let it burn!
You see, that's the difference, though. I think I can actually stop it from burning. I think that I would enjoy the challenge of basically...
Well, you would re-up if you did that, right?
No, I would not. God, no.
You wouldn't? Really?
The military is a bunch of fucking morons.
Even if there was a civil war, though, you wouldn't re-up?
No, I do my own thing, honestly. They did. There was plenty of people who did it during the other Civil War. Maybe I join a militia if I think they're competent, but essentially...
I swear to God, if you come up here and kill me before I get out of this country, fuck you.
Well, honestly, there's always those people. Do you know why?
Why?
Think about it. Where are you going? What do you have on you?
What do you mean?
Okay.
Like, if I left this country, what would I take with me?
You said, come up and kill me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're traveling to leave, right?
Yes.
So what is your mind on? Getting out.
Getting the fuck out, yeah.
And what are you bringing with you?
My kids, anything I can fit into my 2 cars.
And?
I'm gone. What?
What else?
What, money?
Yeah.
Money?
So what do you think people are going to be doing who are opportunists? You brought everything they need. They just kill you.
That might be true. That's a good point.
It's not.
Oh man,
right to it.
I'm not gonna be able to. I'm not gonna be able to take the interstate up there. Shit, you're right.
Everywhere there's refugees, there's always the opportunists. I mean, it's the first thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Shit, I never thought about that. Oh my God.
Wait, I just have to have a chair and say, free passports right here. Come here. A big sign. And then I just take them out back and I kill them and I keep all their stuff.
Yeah, see, I ain't doing shit in this country. I am literally filling up my gas tank here and I am just gone. And now you're making me think I shouldn't take the interstate. I should take another route.
It's going to await you when you get there. Do you know what the number one problem is in refugee camps? And that's where they will have to place you because you can't just sort of wander and
kill. What's the
rape and murder? That's some of the biggest problems.
See, then I gotta get all protective and shit.
And then there's disease because everyone's confined in a very tight space. Also, there's theft too. But
maybe I'll just sneak into the country, and then if I get caught, I'll be like, refugee!
No, they'll just shoot you. And during times where there's refugees, people are basically authorized to kill people who trespass. So
fuck you! You gotta just ruin my only chance.
Maybe you should research what happens when a country goes basically nuclear.
True.
In a political sense.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of death in the people who run, and the months, the years after. As long as the UN isn't there to cut those numbers in half.
Would you ever get to the point, if during the early days of a civil war starting to break out, would you get to the point where you would join a militia in those early days? Or would you wait till it's full on, everywhere on the news, everything happening? Or would you do, let's say you were walking around, let's say someone came to your town and decided to hold a big, protest, a Democrat protest, okay? Shit started getting violent, okay? Mm-hmm. People start shooting each other, because people get crazy sometimes, all right? Now, all of a sudden, they're like, we're going to stay here. We're going to fight for this ground at this point, all right?
Who is this, the Republicans or the Democrats?
Democrats. But they're still a mile or two from your house. Would you attack, or would you move away, or would you stand your ground and hope for the best?
If I understand correctly, these are protesters who decided to, I guess, shoot all the police, and now they're going to occupy the town?
Now they're going to occupy, the town.
Okay. I would wait for them to fall asleep and then I would kill them, because they basically...
So you're going to do it France style, Viva the Revolution,
Well, no, basically, there would be... If they actually killed the police officers, then essentially there would be a de facto martial law. So I would have the authorization to do that.
No, you would. I agree with you 100%.
The best time to do that would be when they would least expect it. After a victory, people usually celebrate by drinking. Yeah. And that means that they would be unprepared for somebody to attack at twilight. It's a tactic that the Indians would frequently use against the Americans.
Okay, let's say they killed all the police officers and said, hey, we're taking over this town. But anyone who doesn't agree with us needs to get out, and they need to get out now. We will let you go peacefully.
I'd still kill them.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. I mean, I basically have an authorization to do so. It wouldn't be personal. I don't really mind it too much, but I would at least try, because when am I going to get another chance, honestly?
Yeah.
It would be the perfect opportunity when they think that they're confident enough to claim the territory because they just suddenly killed somebody. Like,
yeah,
you have to have more plans than that. You have to have a secure area. You have to have resources. You have to have like you don't want them to know you've done it for at least like as long as possible. If they just haul off and basically kill everyone who immediately could resist in that moment, just wait a little while because they're not ready for another counterattack.
See, I got this little guy I work with. He's probably he's short, skinny guy, like 4'9" and like 110 pounds or something. Small fucking guy, a bit older, and he's a big, hardcore conservative, and he's foaming at the mouth for Civil War. Like
that poor man.
He's got guns set up and all ready, He can't wait for it, He's all excited. And he always tells me, when that Civil War comes, man, you're going to be proven wrong. And I'm just sitting here thinking, my God, if that Civil War comes, I'm dead. This motherfucker's going to shoot me while we're at work. He's going to be like, Civil War, it's fair.
No, see, that would be a dangerous idea, okay? Because the first thing that you would want to establish is that there is a line that can't be crossed. And then when people cross that line, and only when people cross that line, you kill them. In this theory, okay? In this theory, there's only the extremes of cross the line, you're dead. Because that has to be the appropriate action during a certain time period when everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Because that is basically the language that everyone understands. Black, white, Mexican, foreign, native, doesn't matter. You cross this line, you will die, is something that everyone can get behind. It's a sign language, let's say, the sign language of death, okay?
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you do not go over the line towards them. They have to come towards you. So it's like, all right, I don't give a shit that all this stuff is happening. You can be a Democrat, I can be a Republican. But if you pick up that gun in this zone, I will shoot you down. Like that's where it started in the Old West, like the off-limits zones in the cities and stuff, so that you couldn't rampantly kill somebody that easily. The dueling, for example, actually had a practical purpose. That was so basically, you got a problem, settle it.
Yeah, just fucking do it, and do it with no one that can get caught up as a bystander.
Exactly. Yep. Go over there, go way over there, okay, and you deal with it there, and you don't come back until it's dealt with. That actually was an amazing sort of resource to prevent people that caused civility, that caused people to learn respect and learn basically manners, because you don't want to just get drawn into a duel for no reason. And you don't want to be the guy who just keeps challenging people. You don't want to be that guy either, because basically they can send in a ringer to kill you, or they can just sort of like look the other way when people are going to attack you when you least expect it.
Yep.
Basically, brutality has its purpose in society. And what your friend there is basically excited about is the opportunity to exact brutality, which I can get behind. I mean, it's a fun thing to do. But the problem with that is that means that they'll come for me next. So I cannot be brutal. I have to be conditionally brutal.
No, I get that.
Yeah. Any sort of mob boss, any sort of like actually decent leader knows that there's this line, do what I say, do not question me, or else. But you don't violate that or else. Like they do what you said, you leave them alone. Hands off, no touching. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is your friend is misguided, because what he will basically inspire is more violence.
He reminds me of a chihuahua sometimes.
Even though it is satisfying. If I had the opportunity to lead your friend in this supposed uprising, he would be the mad dog I would send after you. Have you ever seen what do you call that? Oh, what was it?
Inglourious Bastards?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. The Bear Jew.
Oh, yeah,
Those guys have a purpose in every military, or at least in certain militaries.
Yeah.
They're the ones that you send after them. They're the scary, the loud, the ones that leave the heads on the spikes. Those are useful people. but they have to be used appropriately, because if your army is totally made up of them, all the armies are going to converge to just get rid of you first, and then they'll just work on everyone else. So I would have to say that my goal wouldn't be to just start killing people, although it would be fun.
You sick son of a bitch.
My goal would be just to defend a plot of ground, essentially.
Yeah.
And in a exact American standards on the plot of ground until stuff was established again. Like, if this was the scenario we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Because if I do that, then I get basically people who are willing to help me, and they don't all have to be Republican. That means my force is going to be bigger than a dude who's just made up a Republican or Democrat. Mm-hmm. And then I beat the shit out of the next guy, and I give the people who are survivors the opportunity to earn my trust. And that means that they're fighting with sticks for a while until I'm satisfied that they've lost enough people to understand that, you're on my side now. Yeah, it's like basically, this is all the stuff that happened during the first Civil War. Yeah. And it's all the stuff that happens in wars today. I mean, have you ever heard of the child soldiers?
Yeah, like in Africa and shit like that.
Brutally high dropout rates for those guys. I mean, if you made it to be an actual, I think they called them commando or something like that. Yeah. Basically, the graduate child soldier, you've lost like 50% of your dudes, the people who started with you. Yeah. And you probably killed a couple of them if you've made it to the end. Yeah.
Shit. All right.
But I mean, yeah. But again, this is all hypothetical, so don't try to entrap me in some sort of legal thing.
Oh, man. You just threatened to kill those people. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Oh,
over.
No. Yeah.
All right. This is a good time to call it quits. So, any final thoughts here?
Yes. I think this total civil war is extremely unlikely.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do think that there will be extremists if Trump is impeached. There's going to be Republican extremists because they'll believe that the end of the world is already coming for them, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. Even if he does deserve it, they'll think they won't. So
I actually am not even thinking that Trump will be impeached. I don't see that being likely. It'd be nice. I mean, of course I hope. I want to see a president get impeached, damn it. Like, actually impeached. None of this Bill Clinton bullshit.
You're a weird man, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I would never risk the country being thrown into such chaos, simply because I wanted to see something weird.
I don't think it's gonna get thrown into chaos. I think I think overall it's just if the president does get impeached or if the president does get assassinated, there might be a couple little terrorist attacks, but we'll make it through. We've made it through this shit before. I mean, hell, Reagan was shot. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's just
he lived though, so and there wasn't there. I would think it was just a crazy guy, not like an entire party against him. But I don't know.
Nixon totally was kicked out of office. Well, he resigned, but you know what I mean. And sure, there was a little bit of turmoil and some disagreement, but he was literally the president that got us out of the Vietnam War, and yet he still resigned. So, I mean, I don't see our country reacting in a crazy way. People want to go on with their lives. People don't want politics to be the main driving factor of them, and that's why I don't think a civil war will ever happen.
Antifa, Charlottesville.
Hey, there's always crazies.
Oh, yeah. And crazies and mobs, That's just always happened. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're done.